Well, that didn't take me too long. About an hour, maybe a little more. There were a few hiccups along the road. It was a long road getting from there to here. Not a deep cut at all. I missed that show. I'm gonna say this because I love my tangents. Enterprise is literally the most underrated Star Trek franchise in the entire franchise. Star Trek show in the entire franchise. It had its weak moments. I got into this topic of discussion with a few people, nice people. And again, I will not, DS9 is not my favorite. There, I said it. DS9 is awesome, but it's not, it's a story that takes place in the Star Trek universe. To me, watching all 7 seasons, and I'm actually rewatching them again, because I like it. Again, I love all Star Trek. I literally love all Star Trek. Spock's brain, me. Code of honor. But I love even the TAS, the animated series, which I watched when I was a kid. It has its moments. But DS9 for me, and I get why a lot of people say it's like literally the #1 franchise, because it actually has something to say across multiple episodes. It has a story arc to it. It has like TOS obviously was episodic because that's all TV was back then. TNG was pretty much episodic. It has some nebulous thread throughout the whole thing, data and whatever, but overall every episode was a standalone episode, and what happened in one episode overall did not impact on subsequent episodes. There was no story arc across multiple seasons. DS9 turned the tables on that. Now here's the point for me. There was another show called Babylon 5, showed up before DS9, if I remember correctly. Babylon 5 premiered before DS9. And Babylon 5, JMS sat down and wrote out all 5 seasons, the story arc. There was a story right from the get-go, right from the pilot, The Gathering, right from the pilot, which established, and again, didn't have it all fleshed out, but established from the beginning that this 5 years is going to be a whole story. DS9, the first 2 seasons have nothing, that they are all episodic. Just like TNG, just like TOS, just like TAS. I'm not saying they basically went and found a story arc because of Babylon 5, because I think maybe that's what they had planned from the beginning. But from what I was told, they did not have a story arc from the beginning. When Jean-Luc in the Enterprise found Captain what's-his-name, thinking that Cardassians were smuggling in arms, that was DS9's intro to the Cardassian Dominion War. So, and I will say this, the cohesiveness of the story arc of the Dominion War was very, very good. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was very, very well done. Jemadar and blah, blah, blah. The changelings show up and blah, blah, blah. Odo figures out where he's from, yada, yada. The characters evolved. I'm going to say that too. The characters, like just taking TNG, for example. Worf changed jobs 3 times, I think, in the run of the show. Tasha died, Worf took her spot. Maybe that was the only time, twice. But anyways, Deanna got better. But there was no evolution of the characters. The characters from the pilot were basically the characters when the show ended. Wrecker grew a beard. Data was the same. Jean-Luc was, the characters became more developed, but there was not a change of stature or the way the characters presented themselves. Again, like Babylon 5, if you watch all 5 seasons and you look at Londo and Jakar, those characters were completely different beings between the pilot and the conclusion, and that was the story arc. They changed their ways of handling things, blah blah. Delenn changed, blah blah. All the characters had a story arc that changed fundamentally who they were and how we perceive them. So I would say Cisco didn't change at all. you can see his mannerisms, and although he became more pronounced with his mannerisms, but they were always there. And Kira, although I'm going to say Kira is one of my favorite characters of DS9, Kira, who she was before, was who she was through the entire series, but she did evolve her opinion of Cardassians as the war went on, and who she could trust and who she couldn't trust, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, DS9 was good, not my favorite. I do vacillate, I mentioned this numerous times, I do vacillate between the original series, because of nostalgia reasons mostly, and the Next Generation, which had some, which to me embodied Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future, where people build communities and can handle any issue thrown at them and do it in a morally justifiable way, whereas DS9 skirted that completely many times. And even though Cisco didn't like it sometimes, I won't give spoilers, but even though Cisco didn't like it sometimes, he went along with it afterwards, post hoc, sometimes, because he had to win the war, and sometimes wars hell and blah blah. So so all this to say that I love DS9 like I love all Star Trek, but DS9 was deficient for me in many ways because it didn't embody the vision of Roddenberry's future, where mankind can rise above it and be the not the pinnacle, but the finding ways of dealing with things without resorting to badness. But anyway, that brings me back to here. there was some problems, there were some deficiencies. So I did the central part. So this is the old one. You can see the connection point, and this is my new one. Yay! It's also one stud longer. Because again, this one, what I found bad about this one is you got two wide and one wide at the other side. I fixed that in this one. Also, the octagons, they're there. But in building this, like this is what, I don't know if when I did my review on this guy, I mentioned this. This is the weakest part of the entire Invader, this piece back here, because these pieces have a tendency of falling off and they never line up properly. You have to adjust them all the time, just like that, because they can slide. You can see they can slide back and forth with the hook pieces. So I didn't like that, and I didn't like the way they lined up, and I didn't like, I wasn't a big fan. Now, I know why they did that, because they had to come up with an alternative to the two castle corner pieces in black with the Blacktron logo that they had on the original Invader, which I don't have here. And so this is a worthy substitute for those two castle corner wall pieces in black with the classic base. I mean, the Blacktron logo. So they basically rebuilt it in using these banners and this top piece, and it works ish. So, but I always had a problem with this because I always have to adjust it to make it look pretty. So I also had to come up with a solution for not only that, but also making the octagon front and back and blah, blah, blah. So what I did, and again, it took a few iterations, a few tries. I'm not saying it's perfect, but this is where we got. Now, what I tried first, because again, I don't like how this top part, because these studs are on top and these studs are inverted on this top rail piece. That's the way it is. They're inverted. I'm going to live with it for now because I'm not going to bother fixing it. Because the one deficiency that I had in this guy is that the robot couldn't fit in. I had to move this thing up one plate. You can see in here that the connector point is one tile, one plate, and then the connector 1x2 is right there. So one tile, one plate, and then so it's like two down. This one is one tile and then the connector point. So I raise it up a plate, partly because I put a plate on the bottom, which lifted the whole thing up, and then there wasn't enough room in here for the robot. But also, it just seems to fit better that way. right? It just seems to fit better. And again, so I don't mind that it's like a micromillimeter above the ends. That's fine. The other thing is, in the process of doing that, you can see that I got the connector pins, the connector claws, the connector, whatever these pieces are, right at the outskirts of the panel. So this thing doesn't slide around. So it goes down, it's going to be in the same spot every single time you move it, because it can't slide back and forth on here. It can pop out, obviously, but it can't slide out. So and then this thing comes down from the top, and there you go. It's all together now. And again, we got the octagons on it, which is tickety-boo. What else did I do? I left the tiles off of here because they were hitting the head of the robot. So you can see, just barely see that. It's still hitting the 1x1 rounds back there, and the robot just is here. It's missing the studs. But there's not a lot of room in there for a robot. But the original one didn't have a lot of room for the robot either. So I didn't mind that. So this thing is sitting better. They don't move around. They don't flop around. They don't come off as easy because, again, the connectors are right at the outskirts. And so what we got is that. Whoops, let me drop it again. So there we go. There we go. So these octagons line up. There, the octagons line up. And what I did here is I put the 1x2 grilled trans red on both the front ship and this guy, just because I needed to fill in that void, and I thought that looked cool enough. I didn't do it in the back because, of course, we have these bricks here, these 1x1 bricks with Technic hole in it, so they can put the claws in here. Oh, sorry, those are headlight bricks. 1x1 headlight bricks. I was planning on trying to put them into, that wasn't going to work. But in the end, actually, that might work, but I'm not going to try it now. If you put the 1x1 headlight bricks both here and here, and then put the 1x1 half peg in this way, so it's between that might work. But I'm not going to try it right now. The headlight bricks are working fine, but it has that little gap there. But again, I raised this top one up a plate or two from where it was before. So it does fit much nicer inside. The interior, I raised, if I can take this thing apart again. What I did is this little part here, I raised a whole plate, or maybe 2 plates. Because now when these things come down, this, I don't know how to show it to you. This little slope here, let me just open this up more. This little slope here stopped that thing from going any farther. So you got a nice line here, and it can't push down any farther. I noticed on this one that that's not what happens. I think that's what was supposed to happen. But when you push this thing down, I thought it was supposed to interface with that guy, and it doesn't. So it doesn't even get there. It basically hits the top of these things here, which is fine sometimes. But if it's, and as I say, this thing can slide back and forth like that, which causes consternation. What else? There was another thing that I wanted to point out. Blah, 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 that thing. I can't remember it now. Sylvie. Son of a fuck, I had something really important to say. See, it comes off, the old one. So this is where we are. So now I can put this thing on here like that. So there's that. And then I can grab one of these engines blocks at the back right here and put it there. And the line on the engine, which is from the Renegade, fits perfectly with the line here and the yellow on the bottom, and blah, blah, blah. So there you go. So the one thing I did not do is yellow interspersed with the black, which the original Invader had, kind of poorly, and I fixed that one too. But I didn't bother continuing that on here. And I said, I just grabbed 4 or 3 4x6 inverted slope pieces here for this thing. So I could have, had I had, and I probably do, I can find the piece really quick. I can't find it really quick. But you will know what I'm talking about when I say this piece, but a 1x6. I'd probably have him in yellow because that's what I would have needed for this guy, right? and I could do that still, but that means I actually go grab my yellow bin. I'm not going to. So this is, and then you can put it on to the Renegade, and then put the engine on the back of the Renegade, right? And that looks good. And then you can even put this onto the Renegade like that, right? So all of a sudden now your Renegade has the module in the middle. I might have to come up with a better way of holding that up. Maybe the original connector points. But this is, you know, this is what you can do, right? So in the end, this is pretty good. So what else? So yeah, so now I just have this piece to go on the back. And you can see that it's not fitting as it should. So I'm not going to do that tonight because it's already late. But this is fun. And I'm really, really enjoying doing this. And when I'm done, I hope to have a... Put all these things together. So there's the original so far, and this is the new one so far. It's going to be a few studs longer, but it'll be completely 100% compatible with the Renegade, which is what I'm going for. So robot fell out. Put the robot back in. Hello, robot. Deep cut there. So that's it. That's all. I'll keep you posted with the rest of it, and I'm happy so far. It's coming together quite nicely, I think, and we'll see what happens next. Everybody out there, stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon.